is there a threat for another tornado happening? At this point, based on the latest radar analysis, I would venture to suggest that because we've got this cell to the east that's developed, this would be our main tornado cell right here where earlier we had the potential. This essentially will cut off, this eastern cell will, okay, let's go back. We've got breaking news here. We've got a tornado warning in Brevard County. The cell I was just tracking a few minutes ago that was loosely rotating has tightened up. This tornado warning for Brevard County in effect till 5:15. So heads up Brevard County, 5:15, tornado warning in your area. This is specifically going to be in the Port St. John area. So this is not all of Brevard County. This is going to be central Brevard and eastern Orange County. This is right over the St. John's there. Let's zoom into the breadth of this cell. This is until 5:15. It's just north of State Highway 520 in Nova Road. So this is one I was tracking that was rotating just minutes ago based on the latest rotation of this cell and the fact that it may be interacting with the sea breezes. Our possible rotation is going to be right over the St. Johns River right now, and it's heading right northeast toward the beach line, going toward the beach line at 15 miles per hour. All right, let's zoom in, or zoom out, I should say, get a broader view on this cell. This has just popped up, brand new tornado warning, so I'm getting the information with you as we speak live on the air. We're looking at a possibility of hail as well that could be pea size. Tornadic thunderstorm is located near Canaveral Acres, on the west side of Canaveral Acres. This is going to be right over Lone Cabbage Fish Camp, moving northeast at 15. An off-duty meteorologist reported a funnel cloud with this storm. Okay, so we have confirmation that this storm is producing a funnel cloud. That's good information to have. So this is not especially radar indicated. The radar indication, or I should say the radar imagery, isn't the most convincing as far as we're very close to the radar site, so we should get a pretty good fix on where this is. But it's conceivable that our tornado is going to be right here. This, again, would be right over the Lone Cabbage Fish Camp. And this is going to be, just for reference, west of Satellite Boulevard in Canaveral Acres by 2 miles. All right, let's zoom in here to some streets since we have a confirmation now of an actual funnel cloud. And perhaps he's seeing it from his location here along Satellite Boulevard, the Satellite Boulevard neighborhood, but about 2 miles to the southwest, right over the St. John's would be the center of that rotation. Let's get an idea, zooming out, of exactly where this is most likely to be. You know, I think this might be a little bit farther west as well. This is going to be in the general vicinity of 520. Possibly he was driving up and down 520 and saw it off to the right here, off to the east. But regardless, this thunderstorm is rotating based on the broad rotation of the cell. As far as having an acute tornado vortex signature, I'm not seeing it at all at this point. And what we're looking for in the vicinity of this would be debris indicating that the funnel cloud's touching down. I'm not seeing that right now either, but this is developing, so track it with me right now. Let's put this into motion and see what we've got. Okay, so it looks like in the last few frames, we would have a rotation here, and then a rotation crossing the St. Johns River. So if this is a thing right now, it's most likely to be approaching the beach line toward Cangrillo Street, north side of Satellite Boulevard. This tornado warning in effect, if you're just joining us, is for Brevard and westernmost Brevard near Port St. John and Canaveral Acres, as well as easternmost Orange County over some of the fish camps until 5:15. This will be heading east now. Let's take a look at the towns in its path. It's at least this cell, according to our radar algorithm, is estimating about a 7 to 15 mile per hour track to the east-northeast. That would put it right over the beach line inside of that time frame. So let's get a fix on the center of the storm where the heaviest rain is based on its location and its track. That'll put it near Port St. John at about 5:15. And really the beach line. This is going to be kind of a situation because if this is producing a funnel cloud, it could touch down at any moment. We got a lot of folks that are on the roads, and these roads, as you very well know, are very heavily wooded. It's frankly hard to see more than a quarter mile, half mile if you look through the trees, unless you find a little bit of a break as you're crossing over the big bridge, heading over the beach line, and you see all the marshland. From there, you can get a pretty good vantage point. But as far as the baseline indicators for what would determine the latest on this, as far as is it rotating, is there a tornado associated with it, there's nothing here that would tell me that there is. So it might have just been a brief funnel cloud that lifted into the sky since then, or it may in fact be essentially flying below the radar. So let's get the latest as well. The Fox 35 Storm Team Thunder Truck is en route chasing this storm. Here's a live view from the dashboard of the Thunder Truck heading toward that general direction. He's on 417 right now, so it's going to take a little while to get in that general area, but he's en route, and really any one of the storms around the area is going to have the potential to produce a tornado. At this point, there are no tornado watches in effect. It's a very isolated, very marginal kind of a setup, but with this tropical air mass, you can get warm air funnels as well, where it kind of mimics a big thunderstorm tornado, but it's actually more of just a big updraft. So that may be also to explain why we're having kind of a lower indication as far as the radar indication of this being an actual tornado. Let's get the latest fix on this thing, see if that has changed. And indeed, I'm not seeing much of a rotation out of that on radar right now. And in fact, we're not seeing many heavy winds out of this. So let me use this opportunity then to zoom out a little bit farther. We've identified that there's a tornado warning in effect for far eastern Orange County on the St. Johns River, and for western Brevard County, southwest of Port St. John, till 5:15. The tornado warning issued, not because it's radar indicated, but an off-duty meteorologist in the area spotted what they thought was a funnel cloud. And so we're tracking that because, you know, safety first with these things, right? It doesn't take much. And sometimes inside of the scan, and inside of the time it takes for the scan to occur, you can have a tornado touchdown and pull back up. So in this case, if you're living in Canaveral Acres on the west side, let's just get to the nuts and bolts of this. It was a funnel cloud spotted on the west side of the St. Johns River. So if you're in Canaveral Acres at this moment, you're safe. This thing is heading toward the northeast at 15 miles per hour. So you're going to be right on the edge of this. But if you have any travel on the beach line, State Highway 407, the B line extension, heading up toward NASA Causeway, western sections of Port St. John, you know, heads up, at the very least, you're looking at a really heavy thunderstorm heading your way. Here's the west side of Port St. John: Edison Street, Homestead Ave, Almont Street, Betty Ave, Balsam Street, Adele Street, Logan Ave. If you live in this area west of I-95, heads up, you are officially under a tornado warning until 5:15. The radar, or I should say the spotter sighted tornado would be located roughly 7 miles to your southwest. And this is moving northeast at about 15 miles an hour. So 15, 20 minutes or so, that's your lead time on this. Let's get a wider view and check up on these storms to the northwest here. This was an earlier tornado warning in Sumter County. It's since lifted back into the clouds. That storm is heading up toward the Villages. There's a special weather statement there, which is like just sub of a severe thunderstorm warning, indicating that there could be gusts over 40, 45 miles per hour with that storm. We've got more rain here developing near Claremont and back toward Four Corners and Champions Gate, producing a soaking evening commute. This is going to max out once we head towards 6, 7 o'clock this evening in Orlando. But this cell right here in eastern Orange County, in the last about 10 minutes or so, an off-duty meteorologist looking up at the sky said, hey, that's a funnel cloud. Now looking up at the cameras to the right-hand side of your screen, we've got a wide view on the bottom right of the Orlando region looking toward that. And on the top right, a live view from the Fox 35 Storm Team Thunder truck en route. Our tornado tracker heading into the storm right now. And as soon as he gets there, we'll bring you live pictures. Of course, that's a live picture you're seeing now, but you'll see what it actually looks like inside that storm. And we'll try and spot the funnel cloud from afar as he makes the approach, as he makes his way toward the Beachline Expressway. So let's get the latest on exactly where this thing is located. And at this point, I still don't see on radar any kind of a rotation as far as the radar indicating a strong rotation. So that's good news. We're not rooting for this thing, that's for sure. This is good news that as far as an acute, highly localized rotation, that's not likely. There's a possibility it's right here, maybe, but that's a real stretch, to be honest with you, at this point. That said, safety first, and if a weather service employee is spotting a funnel cloud there, we got to take heed. And it may be a real small, it may be a gustnado, it may be a smaller setup, but if you live on Santee Ave, Pioneer Ave, heads up. Okay, you are safety first, and if a weather service employee is spotting a funnel cloud there, we got to take heed. And it may be a real small, it may be a gustnado, it may be a smaller setup, but if you live on Santee Ave, Pioneer Ave, heads up. Okay, you are watching Fox 35 News at 5, and we start with this breaking news that we have a tornado warning in effect until 5:15 for western Brevard County near Canaveral Acres. A weather service employee off duty driving around spotted a funnel cloud. The radar is not indicating rotation at this time, but the storm has had a history of rotating. We're in an environment that would be favorable for tornadoes to develop. Today is a Fox 35 storm alert day. It's in effect not just right now, but through tonight into tomorrow morning. We've got a system coming out of the Gulf of Mexico packing a boatload of rain. We could see flooding rain overnight, with some locations seeing well over 6 inches in spots. And there's the perspective or the potential of tornadoes to develop, as well as severe thunderstorms with damaging wind gusts. So far, since about 4:15, we've had 2 tornado warnings. The first one issued at 4:17, and the second one just issued here within the last 15 minutes. The first one has expired. No verification on whether or not that happened. The second one, not radar indicated, but spotter indicated. Somebody saw it. The latest radar indicating that there's not much rotation with this, and in fact, it does appear in the latest frame that, let's see, this expires at 5:15. I'm trying to get the latest from the Weather Service now, and there's no update on this, but I imagine that this one will expire at 5:15. I think the name of the game here is just stay weather aware, and this is a perfect night to make sure that you have the free Fox 35 Storm Team app. It's a great way to catch the warnings as they happen in real time, and then you know to jump on TV and catch our coverage. Essentially tonight, while you're sleeping, there could be tornado warnings issued, and if it's issued for your area and you're not in an area that would have a tornado siren, or maybe you live too far away from it and you're not going to hear it in the middle of the night, that's a great way to get the warnings. So make sure you have your phone off silent. Make sure you have all your alerts enabled in case your local carrier pushes an alert to your phone as well. The tornado threat tonight is marginal, but as proven this afternoon already, devoid of official tornado watches, we've had 2 tornado warnings. So clearly the atmosphere is rotating. At this point, the heaviest storms are going to be located in 2 spots, one in northern Brevard County, and another spot's going to be southern Sumter, Lake, and northern Polk County. Everything's moving off to the northeast at 15 miles per hour. Orlando right now is dry, but that's going to change. The latest from the Fox 35 Storm Team Thunder Truck, by the way, you see that on the top right-hand part of your screen. He is en route to that tornado-warned thunderstorm in eastern Orange County and northwestern Brevard County till 5:15. Even though this may not be producing a funnel cloud at this time, because it's a rotating thunderstorm and because a funnel was earlier spotted by an off-duty National Weather Service employee, it's possible that this essentially produces a tornado, especially as it heads northeast and starts interacting with what may be a little bit of a sea breeze influence or just a little bit of a change in the air temperature and humidity levels as it approaches the Indian River and the beaches. This is all neighborhood level stuff that can contribute to the development of a tornado. Now, this still has a signature, at least on its rainfall gauge, of a rotating storm. As far as any kind of serious tight rotation that would indicate that this is a tornado, it doesn't appear to be happening, which is very good news. But if you live in Canaveral Acres, essentially the storm where a funnel was spotted is in your area. This is going to be a good time to take cover. Now, if you've never been in a tornado warning, one thing about Florida, we don't have basements. At least most of us don't have basements, right? The groundwater levels are too high. So you want to get to an interior room of your home away from windows. That's the key. The goal here is to avoid flying glass. The best bet is if you have like a utility closet, just go in there, shut the door, turn the TV up so you can hear the warnings, and equally important, figure out when it's going to be safe to leave. It's one thing to give you a tornado warning, but if I don't tell you it's safe to leave, then I leave you in the dark in that sense. At this point, it looks like areas of Orange County are safe from this possible funnel cloud, but it has moved into Brevard County. And if there is indeed any sort of a radar confirmed rotation, I mean, this is on the pixel level. We're talking about a couple hundred yards wide. There may be something being hinted at here, but that's a stretch at this point. But this is going to be in Canaveral Acres. It looks like around Vaquero Ave and Shadowwell Ave. At the very least, we're getting heavy rain out of this thing. Actually, in this location, there's no rain, so that might just be a gust of wind that's blowing out of the storm, picking up a little bit of dust and rotating as it does so. But these are the things we look for. We look on a micro scale, a street-by-street level. This is why your storm reports are so important. And if you have any damage, let us know. Drop me a line or write into the station or give us a call here at Fox 35 to tell us what you see. As far as the threats from this storm specifically, we're looking at hail, about a ½ inch, also torrential rains falling between 2 and 4 inches per hour, and wind gusts that could exceed 60 miles per hour. But at this point, with this cell, the max wind gusts we're seeing is about 40 miles an hour. Still impactful, but that's it. So it's below severe limits as far as that's concerned. And we have the luxury in this location to be be within a fairly close proximity of the Melbourne radar site. We're about 25 miles away, so we're getting a high-resolution scan. And as far as our Fox 35 storm tracker radar goes, we are in a location here in eastern Orange County, so we're a little bit closer to it, and let's get an idea of exactly where the storm is relative to our radar. Okay, so it's 18 miles away. So this will give us a very high-resolution view of not just the storm, but also the dynamics within the storm. And you can see that this is a storm that's almost sort of redeveloping in place. There's a boundary moving toward the north, and along that we're catching the storm redeveloping. That's why it looks like it's kind of pulsing as it goes. But we're looking at some blinding rain here on the Beachline Expressway, at the very least from this storm. At the very least, a blinding rain. Looking at the latest from the National Weather Service. Say that again, please. Okay. Thank you. So here's 528 at mile marker 439. That's a great shot. Thank you, Josh. If you guys can bring that full, that would be neat to check that out and see what folks are facing there. But yeah, it looks like it's just raining, so it's probably fine as it is. But yeah, there we go. Yeah, it's just heavy rain. Really slow and go, that's for sure. The latest is that this tornado warning is in effect till 5:15. And if you're just joining us, and a lot of people are just joining us now, we've had a weather spotter report a funnel cloud in this cell. And that's certainly a possibility with this kind of a thunderstorm. We're in a tropical air mass. Dew points right now are in the middle and upper 70s, a far cry from where we were last night when dew points were in the 40s and 50s. So it's summertime levels of humidity. And oftentimes you can get what are called warm air funnels, where as the air is rising, it rotates and it can produce funnel clouds that ultimately never touch down, or if they do, they're super weak, brief tornado winds of 60 miles per hour in a whirlwind. And that may have been what was occurring within this cell. So we're going to track this cell as well as other cells around the region. The action's getting started early tonight. It looked like we'd have at least the rain beginning between 5 and 6 p.m. We're seeing that, but the severe weather may be holding off a little bit longer. At this point, the severe weather has started sooner than later. Tornado warning now in effect for about the next 12 minutes or so. More storms out toward the west, the Villages and Leesburg. Let's zoom in, check out the latest here real quickly, because this was an area that was under a tornado warning. That tornado warning has since lifted from a storm right now sitting over the Coleman area that is no longer producing a tornado, at least according to radar, and it's a very small storm, so it's very unlikely. But it's a good indication of what to expect with these storms. They'll pulse up and they'll live for about a half an hour, and then typically they get interrupted with a new storm like this one forming just to the east, and that essentially interrupts the inflow. It has to have a free and warm and humid inflow, and that basically kills any chance for a tornado to develop. So that's one of the things I'm looking at as well with these storms. Looks like Umatilla, you're about to get a big thunderstorm as well. Slow-moving, heavy rains. Latest on this cell, a spotter-indicated cell producing a tornado. Indeed, Orange County now has been removed from the tornado warning. So Orange County, you're safe now from this tornado warning on the east side, but it does continue for Brevard County. All right, let's go to the Storm Team Thunder Truck here. I'll bring it up on this screen, actually, guys, for speed. We've got the latest from this. Our photog is, driving down the highway right now en route to this thunderstorm, and that's a live view from the roof. He's got a camera in there, then he can spin around HD live feed to show us exactly what's going on. You know, it's one thing to see it on radar, another thing to see it in person. At this point, we're looking at a big thunderstorm out ahead of him. Looks like he's driving down the beach line, going over, was that the Econolatchahatchee River there? And he's on 528 heading east. Yeah, so he's heading right into that storm. You can see the wooded areas to the left, very low visibility unless you're at an elevated location. So if there was a tornado out of this, it would be hard to see it. But at this point, it's heavy rain and heavy clouds, traffic moving along. Everybody else clearly oblivious to the warning there as far as being on the road and driving there. Of course, we're in the Thunder Truck. It's equipped for this. We're informed and a highly trained driver in the meteorology of this and how to spot and track storms safely. And so our drivers are equipped with that for sure. And of course, the cameras and the equipment. But at this point, that's the situation. Now, as far as this exact location, let me pull that up. Here, let's go full to that shot real quick, or go full to the radar, and then I can mess around with this and bring that up to show you where this is located. Okay, cool. So we are on Lynx 2 right now, and the truck is going to be, and I'll give you an exact location, because that way we can get a much more educated idea of exactly where he is relative to it, to get an idea of what we are looking at. So there's the Thunder Truck right here en route. So he is located exactly 12 miles away. So he's 12 miles away from this storm. He's heading east at exactly the speed limit. So he should be there in about 12 minutes, give or take. I'm sure traffic will slow down a little bit as he makes the approach. I'm guessing he's not going to find a tornado. He's probably going to find some really torrential rain and some slow and go traffic. At this point, this tornado warning was issued from a trained weather spotter, a National Weather Service employee, saying a funnel was spotted. And so naturally, the next thing we look for is twofold. Where are the winds going? How strong are they? Is there any rotation? And the answer is no, no, and no. They're not very strong. There's not much rotation. Putting this in motion, it's kind of a loosely organized thunderstorm. Not to contradict what he saw, because he definitely could have seen a funnel cloud. With a tropical air mass like this, it's very common to have brief funnel clouds dip down. But as far as debris goes, there's no debris being spotted on radar. What we're looking for is basically highlighting where the tornado would most likely be located, and that would be right about here or just west of that location, and then trying to spot if there's debris west of that location. And debris would be indicated by a dark blue. Now, there is a lot of dark blue here, but that's just an indication that there's dust and stuff like that blowing around from thunderstorm winds inflowing into the storm. And so that's why it has that kind of funny look to it. It would look like a blue circle of that same coloration if it was a verified debris area where thunderstorm tornado was picking up stuff and tossing it around. The Storm Team Thunder Truck right now is located about 10 miles now from the storm. The triple threat would indicate that we're looking at hail up to 1 inch, maybe pea-size hail out of this, a half-inch hail a little bit farther from it. Very heavy rain, blinding rain, 2 inches per hour. You can see that on the cameras there on the bottom right-hand side. Look at traffic there slowing down on the right-hand side lanes there. It's really slowing down as it hits that downpour. So folks there are definitely being impacted by this extremely heavy rain. A wider view indicating that these are isolated storms at this point. Orlando is in the clear. We've got a couple more storms popping up here in areas like southern Lake County, also the Villages. Special weather statement in effect for southern Marion County until 5:30 for a heads up that we could see wind gusts there of over 40 miles an hour, that by the National Weather Service in Jacksonville, and the National Weather Service office in Melbourne warning for this tornado until 5:15. So under a minute until this tornado warning expires. We'll continue to watch this very carefully. It is a Fox 35 storm alert day. And this will continue through tonight into tomorrow morning, because while we've already had a couple of tornado warnings in the last hour, overnight we could see many more developing as the main shield of rain moves in from the west. And I'll show you what I mean. We'll zoom into the southeast view. There's an area of low pressure that is located here over the open Gulf of Mexico that will be making a run toward our region overnight. So the rain we're getting now is just like what's out ahead of that. The main batch of heavy rain is located in two parts. Keep in mind that this radar is only showing what's visible from land, but there is a lot of activity to the open Gulf of Mexico, as indicated by the satellite. This is extremely heavy thunderstorm activity, and it's heading toward us. So what we're seeing right now is just a preview. It's really this batch of moisture coming in off the Gulf of Mexico that we've got to watch very carefully tonight. Now, as of this time, there are no tornado watches in effect, and the tornado warning now for eastern Orange County, as well as western sections of Brevard County, has been allowed to expire. But we're on top of it. We want to let you know we're here to provide the information to keep you safe so that you can make decisions if they need to be made and get out ahead of the storm. We've got our Fox 35 Storm Team Thunder Truck moving right into the storm at this point. He's located about 6 miles from it. We'll bring you live pictures as we are on the top right-hand part of your screen. That's what he's seeing right now. And of course, if any new thunderstorm warnings are issued, I'll let you know immediately. So we've got a lot of busy weather happening right now through tonight into tomorrow, and an overall rainy pattern that will continue through the day on Saturday before finally moving out. Looks like Saturday's weather forecast may be a little bit drier, so that's good news for weekend plans. But we've got a lot to get through right now, and it's been a busy afternoon already. The latest right now is that we are free and clear of active tornado warnings, although we're not out of the woods yet. In fact, the action may just be getting started. So that's a look at the weather forecast right now. We'll continue to monitor the Fox 35 Storm Team Thunder Truck, our area cameras, and of course, the weather in your backyard. If you have any reports of damage, let us know. We'll relay it right here on Fox 35. I'd love to get your reports. Email, check us out on social media, Twitter, the whole thing. We're listening. All right, Luann and John, I'll toss back to you.